as you improve, your personal life might digress, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, those opportunities will remain there if your chess game remains strong, and maybe even if it doesn't. Um, but but I mean, I guess what I'm getting at, Hans, is like 10 to 12 hours is a lot, obviously, per day.
Mhm.
Do you have days where you wake up and you'd rather not do it, or are you like fired up, let's go every day?
Well, what else am I gonna do?
There are a lot of things you could be doing, as we just
But,
discussed.
but if you could tell me, but I don't know. But I just don't find enjoyment of those things. I just find no reason to. I think you can just look at how Fischer lives his life before insanity, and I think that's the right way to do it. Right?
I
I
mean,
think that
he's
I
not a
think
great role model in a lot of respects, you know?
well, yeah, he's not a good role. Yeah, but his chess improved before things went haywire. The way that he approached the game is absolutely inspiring, right? Like he was working entirely alone. I think it's easier to work alone now, but he was working entirely alone. He had a set regimen. He was in great physical shape. He had no romance, no distractions. He was totally focused, and it paid dividends, right?
It did, but I mean, would you take his life if you could say you can have Fisher's whole life? Would you take it?
Well, I'll answer that question with another question and a response to that question. So someone once asked me, in a very stupid manner, they said, "Are you the next?" Okay, you could just get anyone, right? You could say, "Are you the next Hikaru Nakamura? Are you the next Magnus Carlsen?" I say, I'm Hans. I'm the next Hans Niemann, right? I think that's how I'll answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just Fisher was so unbalanced, and obviously he paid tremendous consequences. I'm just saying, like,
Well, yeah, I would say that the imbalance. I'm quite a Fischer expert myself, and I think the imbalance came from external factors. I don't think it came from his chess. Actually, was something that minimized his external problems.
yeah, you're
Right?
others have said that for sure.
Yeah, no.
So
So I know a lot about Fischer, and I've read a lot about him from a psychological perspective. If he didn't have chess, I don't want to draw too many comparisons because I'd like to think that I'm sane. Um, at this current point in my life, who knows what will happen in the next 10 years? But the chess was actually, if he didn't have chess, he would have gone crazy. Maybe at least 30 or 40 years before. So,
yeah,
from all psychological experts have that conclusion from his psyche, that it was actually helping him. And I suppose, I don't know. I obviously, his personal beliefs, are quite polarizing and sort of taint a lot of reputation. But I do think that he had a lot of valid reasons to have the paranoia that he had. And especially if you read about his mother, we don't need to go on like a whole tyrant, but I'm quite the Bobby Fischer specialist. Like, his mother was being like spied on by the FBI.
right. It's
for, like,
true. Yeah,
like, he had full reason to be paranoid. And I wouldn't be surprised if half of it, although he went crazy, I tend to question what caused him to go crazy, whether it was his personal or some other outside factor. But that's just a conspiracy theorist in me.
oh, you can't leave it there. What are you alleging specifically, Hans?
No, well, okay, my personal opinion is that chess was sort of what helped him, and that he was driven into madness by external factors. Let's say that's my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
I don't think it was of his own volition that he went mad. I think it was outside factors, organizations, people. I don't know. This might be a place where people don't agree with me, but that's my personal opinion from all of my knowledge of Bobby Fischer.
Okay. And obviously it sounds like you've done some reading about Fischer, but you're also in that sort of rare air of chess players where stories are probably handed down to you as well. So have you like heard firsthand stories about Fischer?
Yeah. I know I've heard quite a few firsthand stories about Fischer. So I know a lot about Fischer from that I guess the general public doesn't know. Let's just say that there's one person that knew him better than anyone that I've had the opportunity to speak to. and read first. I've read letters that no one's ever seen. I don't know. I've just been able to. I've been lucky to have access to information about him.